Pura, hello, welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of work on my H8A wagons. I have some weathering powders, which you might have seen before, and I have a load of coal for them from Pico Scene. So what I'll need to be doing is adding the load obviously and weathering them up nice and dirty. I have one that's actually already weathered from Growing Parish, but in addition I've also got some of the much older clean ones, a bunch of coal sector ones. I think the decals might be added on outside of the box, but a bunch of Pico ones as well in Relfort Red and BR Brown. So I'll be going through these in just a minute, one by one. I think I'll start off by weathering them up. The technique I'll be using today is to put the decal fix on the wagon first, paint it all up nice and clean, and then using water and the powders I will put that then on top of the decal fix, and hopefully that'll mix up enough that the weathering powders stick, but I don't mess up the decal fix by having to double dip basically. Cool, so let me get started on that. Child safety screw top, defeating adults and children for many a year. Get as much as you can, but don't worry too much, I guess, because as this stuff is sort of water soluble somewhat, the water will enable it to be moved around, as is the design of the material. So it doesn't need to be instantaneously or perfectly placed, because the weathering material, the powders, will get everywhere anyway eventually. Right, so I've done the decal fix on the one wagon. I'll now put that back away, just to make sure I don't spill it. And what I'm going to do is to start off with the black first, because that's going to go on all over the place, because it's obviously well in use. And even if I wasn't going to fill a load at this moment in time, I would still want plenty of weathering powder material, because they didn't stay clean at all for very long. So let's get into it. It looks really dark, and then as you keep going it seems to thin out really quickly, but actually it's not very thin at all. I can guarantee this is going to look filthy. Probably the more important of the two between the weathering and the loading, purely because you can have empty coal hoppers, sure, but they were never clean. Too painful. And I've already started to get quite a grubby look about it. So anyway, I'll let those dry, and I'll show you something I did previously. So one of my first examples was using a brown colour, and as you can see it stands out far too much. When I was doing it, it looked perfect. It looked exactly what I wanted. It had gone into all the little panels and the wood, in between the wood and stuff, and it looked lovely. And then as it dried, it just comes out looking caked in mud. Even the dribble effect I tried to achieve there doesn't really work. It's just too much. It's really thick. It just looks overused. On the corners there, the fading looked better. The difference between the thin and thick stuff looked a lot more realistic. And as it's dried, it's just become more of a painting than anything. So a bit disappointing. A bit over the top. And again, with my my gravel rake, I smeared a bit in the middle there, just where the panel, the door was, and again it's kind of come out a bit cakey. It's a bit too obvious. It's not smooth enough, and that's where when you do spray painting, that fading effect really is a lot more better. At the ends, however, as you can see, I've managed to weather just the end there in red, and I think I've done a much better job of that. It's a lot more subtle. I used a lot less of the powder, and it came out much better. It's much more realistic, closer between clean and dirty, which is kind of the effect you want. You don't want clean lines like you get here. You don't want massive differences. So subtlety is pretty key when you're weathering models. So I'll be back in a tick once they've all dried up a bit. Just as if to spite me, I was completely wrong. What we have is my weathered wagons, looking admittedly slightly weathered, certainly if you compare it to the shiny clean version, but nowhere near as weathered as I thought it would be. It's not really a problem. I actually quite like it with a semi-dirty state, because like I said, the key is delicacy and not too much, I guess, and that's kind of the effect I've got there. So a couple more of these could be weathered a little bit more, some of them a little less. I guess it's a good. It's not turned out too bad actually. I'm pretty pleased with that. So I'm gonna carry on with these. Finish off the Pico ones, and then do any of the Graham Farish ones that need doing, and then I will come back and we'll do a couple of car loads. Not that that's too difficult to work out what's going to happen there, but why not? It's part of the video. This is the first Graham Farish one, and this one's already had a car load added. This is prior to me buying it. Sorry for the focus. So that's pretty awesome that it's already done. I'm going to add a little bit more weathering to it, yes, just to mar it up with the others, which is good. One thing I've thought I'd point out or suggest is that upstrokes on the panels seems to work quite well, in that you have your wagon, as you start at the bottom and kind of do swift little brushes up, you get nice good drops of the weathering powder and liquid that kind of then droops down nicely, and there's a nice little residue behind. But anyway, I'll carry on again, and I'll catch up with you in a second. I just got all my Graham Farish ones out, except for the new one which is already weathered, which I will leave to then to load. All the others have got coal loads in already, so I'm just going to clean these up, because I've got my cup of water, and I'm just going to make sure they're not too dusty, because dusty doesn't actually look all that appropriate, considering this stuff was only put in an hour or so ago in like prototype. The coal wouldn't really be sitting around for weeks in these things just for fun. So obviously the coal would have been quite clean. So I'm just using a wet brush to go through these. Now this was done with coal ballast, so the water seems to be soaking in a little bit. Cool, so I've added the external weathering to those. One thing to consider is the upward strokes that I mentioned before. Any streaking that you may see on the eventual dried model actually is going to be slightly noticeable, so the up streaking actually helps mimic kind of rain and the more general pattern that you'd probably see. You're not likely to see side to side strokes. with the exception of the automated ones where you might see a clean line along the side. I'm not too worried about that particular aspect yet. I'm not sure I'll bother with that. It's kind of hard, and I don't have the right tools for it, and I don't actually haven't had much evidence to support that look, so I'm going to keep going with the weathering as it is. One thing I have noticed is that a lot of the powders seem to run down quite quickly into the bottom black bit, possibly because I've got too much water on the weathering powder there, but we'll see how that turns out at the end. While waiting for those to dry, I thought I'd introduce you to a couple of new purchases. Got these very reasonably off Trade Me, and I've got 4 of these Arc Amy Roadstone wagons. They've all come with loads. They're actually quite nice little models. I'm very happy with them. Just a couple of minor details. It's an old Graham Farish pre-Bachmann, but nicely done. Little details I'm going to improve on are at the ends here we have the brake wheels, and these are quite often painted a white or a yellow, so I'm going to see if I can't fix that. By fix that I mean paint over that. I have some white paint and a very fine paintbrush, not a toothbrush. Also the axle boxes have usually a little dot of colour on the actual end of the axle. I don't know what bit that's called. A lot of models don't have that separately coloured, but I figured if I can manage to dot it on the end there, it might just spruce up the models ever so slightly. Seems like a relatively small thing to do, but it will theoretically at least increase the quality or the look of the models. And they're very nice anyway, so a short rake of those. In addition to those, I also got a Lima N-scale CCT. Actually surprisingly well detailed model. Not sure how accurate it is to scale. It's got missing buffers on this end. That's a small admittance for the cost of it. It was pittance, near pennies. But anyway, nice little model. I also got through the post a full Gov in BR Blue for my one of my post trains. So again, this is one of the new backfar, as they shorted to, Graham Farish by Bachmann. So they've got the low profile wheels, and they've got lots of little details and rivets and hinges and stuff on the sides there. A good looking little model. And as comparison, I will just get out now one of my old Graham Farish pre-Bachmann examples, and not a terrible, obviously not a bad piece of kit. Come on, there we go. Not a bad piece of kit, but obviously the body panel side's quite flat. There's very little raised detail, and obviously you've got the huge flanges on the wheels, so they're obviously something I can fix up. But side by side, sort of, you can sort of make out and see some of the differences there. Even the blue is slightly different. And how does the fine print compare? There you go. You can see they're ever so slightly different. I can't actually see what they say on my little camera recorder viewfinder, so maybe on full screen on a laptop it'll be visible. But yeah, so I've got another one of those for one of my parcel rakes, so that's good. I'm slowly getting there with I like my train sets. Yes, otherwise I have been building a couple more of the cassettes. That's nice, and they're turning out really nicely and working quite well. It's saving me a lot of time and pain having to do stuff like this, which is get all the carriages out of the boxes. Because if I just pick you up for a second, excuse me, and just show you, this alone is the parcels train effectively. Got a couple of the blue-grey brakes, and I've got another of the backfire govs. I've got a couple of the Red Star parcels CCTs, which came out quite a while ago from what I understand. Another gov, and I've got a couple of the CCTs weathered by the model centre, which is exciting, and obviously a nice class 22 to drag them along. Oh, sorry, 24, not a 22, 24. Pardon my slip. But yeah, so it would be nice to have them out of the boxes and in cassettes for easy running rather than having to pull them in and out of the box every single time. Okay, so I've got 3 that I'm pretty happy with from previously. So I'm going to start on the load. What I've got in the cup is 50-50 roughly PVA glue, water, and a drop of washing up liquid, and I'm going to do the classic ballasting approach. If you pour some stuff in of the coal into the wagons and then just drip it over the top with this little thing. It's a squidge to suck out some of the liquid and then drop over the top of the coal to basically glue it all in. I've also got, because what often happens is when you put the PVA mixture on top of ballast, it kind of floats to the top. And one solution some people have suggested is you wet it beforehand. One slightly better solution is you use something that's coined the term wet water. And all that is water with a drop of washing up liquid, because the washing up liquid breaks the surface tension in the PVA mixture. So if you've already got it on the ballast, in this instance the coal as well, it stands to reason that the tension would be most definitely broken. So anyway, I will start with loading up this first wagon. That is now loaded. I've got my little cheapest atomizer ever, with the hope that it'll spray. Lots of you will have seen this. I'm sure there are a ton of different methods to ballast track, and lots of other people have done how-tos. Coming back to one of my previous examples, you can see on this side here you've got this weird ridge. It's exactly what's happened there. So I didn't use wet water, and it reshaped the load in the wagon. But I think that's coming out rather spectacularly. Just watch out for bubbles. Right, I shall do the next one. Let's see if I can't give you a better view. Hang on a second, I'll just change the camera. Cool. One thing I'm obviously going to have to do is clean the wheels off on these, just to make sure there isn't too much crud on the track from them. But that's not a bad effort. Okay, so the 5 at the back were preloaded and have just been weathered, and the 6 at the front have, 5 of them have been weathered and loaded, and the other one I'm just going to leave as is for now because I still can't decide what to do. I'll probably have a load in it by the end of the video. Now I just wait for that to dry. yeah. And in the meantime, I will do some work on the layout, some more electric stuff, I'm afraid, not very exciting. And when I've done that, I'll come back to you on this. And yeah, see you in just a second. Well guys, it's a while later now, and the glue is settled. Some of the loads are a little bit shallower than I thought they were, and they've started to do the lumpy thing, because I don't know if you saw a bit on the when I was doing the spray with the wet water. I was a bit close, and it's pushed the ballast around a bit, but it doesn't look too bad. Not quite as full as my preloaded loads. And it's not the same coal, as it turns out. It's clearly a different brand of coal, but I think it looks quite good actually. I'm quite happy with it. Along with the what can only be described as light weathering. Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with the overall effect. I will put a load in the pre-weathered one. And then I think I will move on to the next project. Okay, so what we have here is the BDA wagons that I bought not too long ago. I've now finished all 5 of mine of them. I haven't fixed down the metal, the rebar yet, because I'm gonna weather that up with some rust colour, because I wasn't sure whether or not to do this originally. They look quite nice, all clean, but they also do look a bit flat. And what I did is on the old Trade Me, which is the Kiwi equivalent of eBay, I managed to get hold of this. Oh, let me just find the box. It's the 31-ton bogie bolster wagon in BR Grey. The code is 373926. It's one of the older Graham Farish by Bachman. It's got the old interior plastic block thing with the, as you can see, so it's like the older design of packaging, but when they moved to China, I believe. Interestingly enough, this one actually did come with instructions. Unlike the SBAs, so the BDAs that don't come with any instructions at all, you just have to kind of work it out. This one came with some nice handy little instructions there, which is pretty handy. So the configuration I went with is something similar to the SBAs. Sorry, the BDAs. I keep doing that. The BDAs. So that I could put my metal bar on it, and it'll be part of the same train. I'm not entirely sure of the prototypicalness of this. But more interestingly, and more the reason I brought it up, is that the bars provided with it are already a rust colour. I don't know if that was some kind of orangey primer that they used to either hide rust and or protect it from the weather. I don't know. I need to do a bit more research on that. But I think I'll try and replicate that a little bit more across the board on these metal bars, using my technique that I used with the HAA wagons, which produced this sort of quite dirty but definitely no shine effect on them. I expect it'll work a little bit better on the bars. On my layout, I have been carrying on with the wiring. All the points are now connected to a central terminal block, and so I'm just working on getting the wires from there into this now, which is rather messy looking. Is all the switches I need. I am actually going to on my PC, I'm going to print out something about this size that has a bit of the track diagram on it, and then re-drill the holes for these switches at the appropriate points, because these are too close. I'm not going to be able to work out which switch is for which. I'm sure it made sense at the time when I did it, but until I do that, I can still add all the wiring to the switches. I've got my common out, and then these will all be these, and I've got some black wires instead because I've run out of this grey stuff, will be the individual control wires going into the terminal block, which is then for the point motors. So I've got all the point motors in, I've got them all wired in together now, so they're getting there. centralised at least. Otherwise, yeah, there's not too much been happening in the last seconds. It's been a week or two since I last actually added something to the video. In other news, I have finished off all my cassettes that I have track for. I need another half a yard of flexi track, but I've got some of my HAA wagons in there. I've got a 101. No, this is part of my forcep, the unboxed forcep that I got. You can't really tell because you're just looking at roofs. And this has got an unboxed 101 and the rest of the forcep. So one of the forcep carriages and the two 101 carriages are in there. Like I say, I do have another box to make, but I've run out of track because I ruined it. So that's the dealio with that. I'd be interested to see if anyone else has done anything with sort of these BDA wagons or even these bolsters. I haven't seen a lot on the old YouTube and stuff around how people have used them and what people have done with them. These I've just used the default loads, the two I-beams, sorry. But I'd be intrigued to see if people have managed to fabricate other different loads and how they've done that. That would be an interesting video for me. Otherwise, I did have a look at using, because I got this as part of a bulk lot of stuff I got off eBay a long time ago. I was looking at doing the uncouplers, both electromagnetic, which I won't do because I worked out that I'd have to fit one of these to every thing that I want to uncouple. That would be, now to reduce the amount of work I'd do, I'd attach it to all my engines basically. But none of those have the pico couplings, so the little loop there that you saw would have to squeeze around one of the Graham Farish couplings, and the fit isn't tightest. I don't really want to faff around with all that just for the sake of ease of coupling when I could quite easily use the hand of God. I also looked at using the handmade ones, but because I've already glued my track down, the PVA will get in the way of where the wire would go. So that's not likely to work out. Okay, so I'm getting somewhere. I now have switches that switch switches. So this one is one that's not working on because that side is, the opposing isn't, so I need to fix that, and also the positions of the switches are all wrong. Oh. And the other far side one does work quite well. And they both go straight, they both go into the curve. So that one's working really well, so I'm pleased about that. So obviously a little bit of tidying up to do. I need to get myself a proper hot glue gun, I think, to glue in the wires in properly in the controller, and then obviously or relay all the points out. But that's pretty decent. I'm pleased with that. It's taken long enough. So time for a small running session perhaps. You will hopefully have witnessed a couple of the Max Minis. They're just little reviews that I'm doing of some of my rolling stock and other items. So they'll continue if people like them. Please feel free to comment on everything as per usual. So cheers. Time for a little session.
Extraño, ya no eres un extraño. Me acuerdo cuando te solía recordar, yo aún sin conocerte ya empezaba a extrañar. Tus ojos son mis ojos, no te vayas a enfermar, que tu dolor es mío como la sal al mar. Te extraño y al daño no lo quiero extrañar. Yo siempre me imaginaba el amor y siempre sentí solo el dolor de no poder comunicarme. Me dolía cuando me hablaban y era solo hablarse. Relaciones de monólogos eternos, siempre soñé y ahora solo duermo. Extraño, ya no eres un extraño. Incluso no existes. Extraño, ya no eres un extraño. Qué suerte que me viste. Extraño, ya no eres un extraño. Qué suerte me quisiste. Extraño, ya no eres un extraño. Tanto tiempo viviste en mis sueños y ahora tú eres único dueño. Tantas veces me sentí tan desolada y junto a ti me siento admirada. Qué bueno es decir sin hablar nada, qué bueno es compartir una jornada helada. Te extraño y ahora sé quién eres, qué suerte ser a quien tú quieres. Me siento afortunada entre todas las mujeres, te quiero y quiero que te quieran. Y sé que quieres tardes armoniosas, canciones pegajosas, disfrutar muchas, muchas cosas.
Desde la primera vez que te vi, diferente a las demás, vestida en forma particular, simple, tranquila, la vida puede te vacila, pero contigo la cosa fue distinta. Fue como el que la sigue la consigue. De pronto a tu casa yo me vine, sin siquiera antes invitarte al cine. Conversamos tanto, desde tarde hasta temprano, nos fuimos conociendo. Eres tú que me andaba buscando.